So, what do you think is going on with all these layoffs, cuz
Yeah, it's unfortunate, of course. Systematically, is being done.
Oh my bad. Let me go.
Systematically is being done. To where they are, getting rid of workforce in certain sectors, um, and it just looks like it comes at one of the busiest times is the holiday season. The time where people get together. You know, this is supposed to be a happy time of the year, and this is going to be a time to where a lot of people is going to be struggling. A lot of people are going to be without. A lot of people are not going to be able to do some of the things that they traditionally do. Around this time of year, whether that's good or bad, I can't really say. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things to where you look at it and you kind of have to sit back and see, where it's going. You have an idea of what you think is going to happen, based on history. And you look at history, you say, okay, so where have these things happened before? Have the you got the Great Depression, back to time where we weren't even alive, and you got the crash of '08. There's many times and many different sectors to where things have happened, and then you kind of look back to see. So from that and out of that, what did it change to, or what did society change to? Where did the system move? All these things are happening because for many different reasons on many different levels. So we have to kind of piece it together. I say, just looking from the outside in terms of what the system is doing. What the layoffs. It can be because of AI. It can be because of we're moving to automation more. It could be because of um, businesses are changing over their strategy in terms of how they operate. So that can be contributed to AI, robotics. There's a lot of different levels of information that you would have to look at, and then just kind of speak to that. So you would then go to the information like we just listened to. So that's my take on it thus far. What you got?
I think part of it is, what, we've been talking about, as it relates to automation, for a bit. You know, um, companies are, their main goal is to, make money. Their main goal is to make sure that, you know, profits are, are more than, debt, the debt to ratio income, you know. Um, and so sometimes this is, if they see an opportunity to transition from using, from hiring people where, like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, you know, there's a lot of factors that come into it when you're hiring, people, you know, humans get sick, humans, you know, get tired, they make mistakes, um, they call out sick. I think I said that already, but they get pregnant and have kids and take maternity leave and paternity leave and they need benefits. You need to make sure they have health care, vision, all of those things. And so you know it's kind of hard because there's a human side of it. People need jobs. People need to provide for their family. Like the one lady at the very beginning, um, she pretty much said that she moved out there from somewhere else for this job, and she's only been out there 6 months. So not really having a full opportunity to uh, create a lifestyle because I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what they paid her. I don't know if there was like moving costs and things like that because some companies do that depending on where you are in the company. But somebody having to move to another state from somewhere else. There's obviously moving costs. You have to take your room and board. Seattle is not a Seattle is high. I just put it like that. And to be able to like have savings and you know all those things come into play and to be laid off so quickly and not have an opportunity to get footing could be a problem you know and but I know at the end of the day the company automation is something that's gonna make those margins look how they want them to look, more profit, more productivity and things like that. And so it's just like the nature of the beast, as they say. It's like things like this happen all the time. So man, and like I said, there's the other side. It's unfortunate, um, and we all get to take these opportunities to look and see, you know, how can we increase things? Like how can we increase our our worth? You know, um, back in the day, I'm talking about the olden days. What I'm saying, where they, you know, and actually it happens today, but not here as much. But people have their fathers teach their sons usually a trade, and so when they may not be able to, and they use that for work, and but now like people use that people that still do it, they use it as like something they can fall back on or something they can add to, and that's something that we get to do as well. Like people are kind of doing it now, but a lot of these different um, places are going to automation. So kind of tells you, hey, I need to look into that. Like, what does this automation thing look like? What can I learn about it? What direction should I go in that'll make things um, work for me in the long term? So those are some of the things that that we need to be looking at probably from. I know I kind of was long winded, but yeah, that's some of the things we kind of need to look at, from a certain perspective. Let me see. Yeah, and then as it relates to UPS, man, the the company that we spoke to initially, Amazon, like they are killing the game. You know what I mean? Like they're taking over a lot of things. Like what can't you get from Amazon nowadays? You know what I mean? You could buy cars from Amazon. There's certain vehicles, but you could buy your car, have all the features you want set up, and then have it delivered to you. So they're cornering the market in a lot of different places, and so these delivery and they're doing their own delivery too in a lot of cases. And the stuff that they can't do in house, they contract it out to people like a Uber or like Lyft type, DoorDash type setup. So they're like killing the game, like they're taking over, the delivery market too. So you're gonna see a lot of companies like this suffer. So what do they have to do? They have to do the same thing. They have to stay afloat. They have to cut staff. So you can see profits on those sheets instead of you know all debt. Profits good, debt bad for the simple man.